Hey Dan, what's up?
Hey Brian, how are you? You okay?
Yeah, everything's going good, man. A little cold, but like 7 degrees this morning. It's
I
freezing
mean, it's really cold. Where about in America are you based?
right next to New York.
Oh, well, I can't even imagine how cold it is there, but I send my UK condolences.
Cool, cool. Dan Byrne, man. Welcome to RockEyez, man.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you for getting my name right as well. That's doesn't happen very often.
Watched other videos of you, and you were talking about song, and you said your name. So
Oh, brilliant,
I
brilliant.
research everything. You
You've
know,
done your research. That's great.
definitely, definitely, definitely. So this is where the show begins. May 22nd, Frontiers. The new single, "She's the Devil." Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's been a wild ride with that song so far, actually.
Cool.
I've been very lucky on all of the social media because for me, and you might know this as well, but I'm this is gonna be my debut album, so it's the first time I've put some new music out there in a little while. So I released a little clip of the song before it came out, and luckily, everyone on the internet decided to really take to the song and start sharing it. So it's been a nice little confidence boost leading into the first album.
Great, great, great. You did put out an EP in 2023 called Beginnings, right?
I did. I
Yeah.
did indeed.
And how'd that go over?
It was amazing. It was my first kind of foray into my solo project because prior to releasing songs under my own name, I used to sing in various bands and I had like a few different kind of stints with different people. And for me, that EP was a case of I wanted to define my own brand and sound. And I'd sung a lot of classic rock stuff. I'd sung a lot of I don't know, just generally a lot of rock music. So I thought I want to put four songs out there that are slightly different in genre, so that they weren't all just straight ahead, classic rock. But I wanted to try and showcase the different things that I listen to and what my voice can do as well. So that was a very, very big turning point for me.
Cool, cool, cool. Now you were in Revival Black in 2019, I guess it was, and the second album reached number 2 on the UK charts. Was it difficult leaving that band, being so high on the charts? I know you want to do your own stuff.
Sure, sure.
I would want to too. You know, I want,
Yeah.
so
That's a great question. Y yes, it was. I mean, there's so many factors that come into play, unfortunately. And I can say now, having been a solo artist for a while, that the dynamic of being a solo artist with, a band and people that are helping you out versus kind of five very strong-minded individuals. It's really, really interesting to see how um, original ideas kind of get distilled and via each different person where you start isn't necessarily where you end up.
uh,
And I'm so proud of everything that happened in that band. I'm so proud of the music and everything we achieved. But I think it just came at a point where it felt like a natural progression for me to then move on to something that I really wanted to do and I had a quite a strong vision towards.
uh,
So yeah.
cool, cool. Now, being compared to like Chris Cornell and Jay Buckingham of Rival Sons and stuff like that, um,
Yeah.
does does that bother you, or is it cool with you?
I can only take flattery from that, unless someone's then going to compare me to someone in a mean way. I
Right,
couldn't possibly take any kind of criticism or bother from it because for me, especially, I've grown up listening to all of these artists like Chris Cornell and Jay Buchanan. I saw Rival Sons the first time they came to the UK.
right,
Like, I absolutely love these artists. So to be spoken about in the same way or in the same kind of sentence as these people, for me, obviously says that I'm doing something right,
right.
because that means that I'm being thought of in the same realm. And as a relatively new artist, especially compared to some of the people mentioned there, it shows me that I'm slightly on the right track towards hopefully, achieving something in rock and in music in general that will last longer than I will. So yeah, I take huge compliments from that.
So let's get into some of the album. Tell me some of your favorite songs, and was any of them challenging for you to do or anything
Sure.
like
I
that?
mean, I can confidently say that a large part of the album was quite difficult for me to do, but that was it's kind of self-inflicted sometimes. I work really well to a deadline,
Right,
and I found that being given a time that I need to have the songs ready by was a real driving force in me trying to achieve the songs because I had a lot of ideas for a lot of the time, and for years I've been writing little bits down, and it really took someone to kick me up the arse and go, we need songs by this date, and I go, oh, okay. So I felt really so I just kind of shut myself off in this office, to be honest,
right,
and I just wrote for 3 months straight. I obviously I had ideas that were there from a while ago, and I adapted them, and I have a really strange way of writing where if I don't like the idea immediately and I'm not getting somewhere, I kind of just scrap it, or at least don't. I,
right.
it's very easy to get lost in one idea and then you're kind of thinking for 2 or 3 weeks, going, where can I go with this when something else could, pop up and help out. So I really just drove myself insane, but I really wanted to create the best possible songs. Now I'd say after there's 10 tracks on the album and 11 on the Japanese bonus, which is just an acoustic version of my first single, which was Saviour.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I had different aims with a lot of the different songs, true to the EP that we mentioned. They're not necessarily all just hard driving rock songs.
Right.
I believe the next single I'm going to release is way more of like a bluesy, almost poppy in elements.
Right.
But again, it's different vibes to what I listen to at home, and I felt as though as long as my voice is across the album,
Mhm.
you can listen to the songs and still know it's like a Dan Byrne song, even if it
Right.
isn't, your typical classic rock. And I quite like the idea of not knowing what comes next from an artist. There's lots of bands I listen to where it's always a surprise and you go, well, I didn't expect that, but
Yeah,
it
yeah,
shows development and it shows kind of you're not just stuck creatively, and I really enjoy it. So some people might be disappointed in the sense that I've not just gone and done 10
uh-huh.
really intense hard rock songs, but I kind of set a precedent with that EP that I mentioned earlier that I don't necessarily want to just stay and just do one thing. I want to just explore and test myself.
Okay.
So the whole album, to answer your question, was a test, and it was difficult because I didn't just want to be boring, so to speak. I wanted to really go out there and not only show what my voice can do, but also just what I can write as an artist. And then that should hopefully set me up for the future where it might go in a different direction or it might not.
Yeah.
And it awaits to be seen.
Cool, cool, cool. When you signed to Frontiers,
Yes.
did you contact them? They contacted you, or is there any stipulations in your contract?
Um, it's a bit of both. We've both been aware of each other for a long time, and I remember having small conversations with the A&R guys and the guys at Frontiers a couple of years ago.
Uh,
And I think it was one of those things where it's just the right place and time for where I was. I've obviously just put together an album, and as musicians do, we shipped it around and we sent it to a few different people that we know. And Tim, who is now at Frontiers, is very highly regarded, and I've known about him for a while, and I've got a lot of friends who think very highly of him.
right.
And I would be lying if I said that he wasn't a large factor of what was appealing to it, because at the end of the day, when you're a musician, you want someone to believe in your vision as much as you do, because
Right.
that's the kind of working relationship. And it just so happened that we met up with Tim and we spoke to him, and he was very much on the same wavelength as we were, as myself and as a team of managers and stuff. And we all just could see the vision together, and what the guys at Frontiers were offering me is was kind of ideal for where I saw it heading. So it was just a perfect match at the right time, I think.
Right, right. Did they pick the single or did you?
Oh, again, it's a team effort. I had a clear vision as to what I believed might have been singles,
Right,
but again, when you start releasing music, there's a record label, there's like a radio guy who pitches to radio, there's PR, there's so we had to listen to expert opinions across the board, really, because that's what people are paid to do.
right,
And if someone's who's had 20 plus years in the industry are going, you know, that that should be the single, then you've got to take that advice on board. I mean, it's not like Queen and Bohemian Rhapsody where it's you're trying to pitch a 20-minute song to people. But there's definitely some elements of this one would work better on radio, or this one's going to be great online or on YouTube. Um, so I took a lot of opinions on, but a lot of us had a very similar and clear idea as to what those songs were going to be.
right. So tell me what the cover looks like, or you can't say yet.
Yeah, no, the cover is a beautiful portrait of myself. It was really cool. The whole promo imagery for the album. So I worked with a local photographer to me,
Right.
and we actually hired out what is a high-end strip club in London.
Uh-huh.
And it was red velvet everywhere, and it's beautiful. So we took a whole bunch of photos for the promo, and it kind of originally I wanted to hire out a theater, and it was gonna be like, this is where the show begins. The album title, it's all very in keeping, but the visuals that were in this location that I found were just beautiful. So I decided basically to hire the whole place out. We took a whole bunch of photos. The cover ended up being more of an abstract version of myself. It's me with like lights smeared across everywhere, but I not that I'm a control freak, but I ended up um, actually editing the entire booklet for the album myself.
Right. Yeah.
So I took it upon myself to get all the imagery together and do all your lyrics and choose the photos, and I had great fun in designing all of the artwork because it's something that I've never really done, but in the past couple of years, I've done a lot of my own graphic design. I've done all that kind of stuff. So I thought, well, why not
Yeah.
create the challenge and save some money? So
Definitely. Did you ever have vocal lessons?
no, well, originally I wasn't a vocalist.
Uh-huh.
I'm a guitarist that couldn't find a singer, so ended up becoming a singer.
Wow.
Um, yeah, so it was one of those where I couldn't find anyone for so long. I was like, okay, I'll do it. And then when someone comes along, we'll get them in.
Right. Yeah.
Um, and they just never arrived. So,
Wow.
so I've to this day, and I joined the band as a singer, and then I kind of developed the skills known. But I have had vocal lessons, but more in the case of because I'm not, a natural vocalist per
Right.
se. It was just to make sure I didn't lose my voice after a gig because I used to think, when I was younger and you did like Metallica covers,
Right.
I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
like growling and it all came from me. I was going, "Rrr,"
Yeah.
and I was obviously from the wrong part of my body. So I growled from my throat, and that's like such a bad thing to do. So I went to lessons to try and not blow my voice out.
Right. Yeah.
But not necessarily learning how to sing, which I'm not opposed to doing, and I do check with people and stuff. But it's just been a natural kind of self-discovery.
Right. Yeah. Cool. Cool. In your early days, like in your school days, when you were going to school and stuff, what kind of kid were you in school?
I was the nicest. I
Uh-huh.
had 100% attendance.
Uh-huh.
I never missed a day of school. I was always top set. I
Uh,
yeah, no, I was not that I was like the dweeby kid or anything. That wasn't the case. I was in all the sports teams. I did everything, but I guess it's the way I was raised.
right.
My parents were always very big on, me being there and trying my hardest, and I was always, yeah, I never missed a day of school. I I remember the day I woke up because I used to love school. I used to love being there. I used to love, and I remember the day I woke up one day. I was like, I don't want to go in anymore.
Wow.
And that was a hard one for me because then it's like, okay, well, I must have hit some point in my teenage years, and it was just yeah, it became difficult. But I used to love it. I was always I'm very obedient as a person. Yeah, I just I go along with a lot of stuff, but when it comes to music, I like taking the reins a bit and running with it. And yeah, that's a great question.
Did you collect anything as a kid?
Possibly, apart from like Pokemon cards, it's a collective. I go through stages. I do
Uh-huh.
it now. I've recently just got into like fragrances and aftershave and perfume.
Uh-huh.
So now I've gone into a whole thing where I've collected loads of them recently. So I go through kind of there must be some part of my personality that just is obsessive over certain things.
Wow.
But yeah, it changes every 3 to 6 months, I think.
Wow. Wow. And
Yeah.
how's your family feel about you going into music?
I'm one of the lucky ones,
Uh-huh.
where I was always had the utmost support for anything creative. I think originally it was quite a difficult choice
Right.
because obviously I wanted to be a vet in school. I learned Latin.
Uh-huh.
I did all the sciences. I wanted to look after animals. That
Uh-huh.
was my thing. And I think when I started showing a little bit of promise at the
Uh-huh.
idea that, I could possibly make a career in music,
Right.
my parents were just wholly supportive.
Cool.
That they give me everything. They've funded me. They were the ones driving me to the shows.
Mhm.
I can't have been any luckier, really.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah.
What was the first concert you attended?
Have you heard of Marillion?
Yes. Yes, I have.
Yes. So Fish, the original singer of
Right.
Marillion, he had a convention which is basically like 3 days of Fish slash Marillion music.
Uh-huh.
And my parents were huge Marillion fans, so my dad actually took me up to Scotland when I was like 5 years old or something,
Uh-huh.
for like a 3 day intense Marillion convention.
Cool.
So it's kind of the most hardcore first gig possible, but that was what it was. And then I started list like I was raised on Whitesnake and Bad Company and Deep
Uh-huh.
Purple, and that was very much my upbringing in music. So
Cool.
I borrowed a lot from David Coverdale and Paul Rodgers, slightly more than I did Fish, but Fish is probably my all-time favorite
Uh-huh.
artist.
Cool.
So yeah, so that's why.
Matter of fact, I just yesterday I did an interview which I just posted with Joe Hoekstra of Whitesnake.
I saw,
Yeah,
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 I saw.
it was really fun. You know,
I
a
know
lot of fun.
I love Joel, and I watched the interview, and it was really really cool, and he's very well spoken, and he he's one of the best guitar players on the planet.
Right.
Um, so I really enjoyed that actually. I was checking that out earlier.
Cool, cool, cool. So, who are some of your influences in vocals?
But as I say, I think the primary influence would be David Coverdale for me, and then there's also that Deep Purple, Glenn Hughes, Ian Gillan
Right.
edge, and slightly later on, I found Free in Bad Company and Paul Rodgers. The way he controls his vocal is just unbelievable for me. So I really love that. So they are the kind of main ones. But then when I was growing up in school, I started finding bands like Shinedown and Blackstone Cherry, and
Right.
so my take on rock music is very much the old classic rock that I grew up on. But then when I discovered bands like your Shinedown and Blackstone, that was very much the power of my voice, I guess, probably imitates where they come from.
Right.
So it's the blending of modern versus classic that I'm trying to take into my music, really. And I'd love to introduce all of the rock music that I know and love into a more modern and younger audience and
Right.
grow with a young because I've came from singing for a bunch of 80s bands, and obviously there's a ready-made fan base there, and it's your Monsters of Rock kind of crowds,
Right.
and Planet Rock in the UK, the radio station. But I'm also aware that I also want to be the same age as David Coverdale when I finish my career and stuff. So I also want an audience to bring with me and to appeal to of a similar age that, because all of the people that are coming to my shows were the ones who grew up with the 80s
Okay.
bands. So I kind of want to imitate that demographic and that kind of vehicle.
Cool, cool. What was it feeling like the first time you had to give an autograph?
I still remember it.
Uh-huh.
I was young as well. I was like 13 or 14, I think, and I was playing in Manchester in England.
Uh-huh.
And it's a rock bar that's still there now actually, and it plays rock music all the time called Grand Central.
Uh-huh.
And I had no idea why they would want my autograph. I just could not comprehend
Uh-huh.
why they that and it must have we were just playing like a normal show. I mean, we weren't very good.
Uh-huh.
I mean, looking back, we can't have been very good.
Uh-huh.
And we were too young to be in there, and I think that we snuck past the bouncers, and
Uh-huh.
it was kind of far too young to be playing pubs because 18 plus in the UK, pretty much everywhere.
Right, right.
Um, and yeah, there was this Irish couple who came to watch the show, and they came over from Ireland,
Uh-huh.
and they went, "Can we please have your autograph?" And I just went, "Why?" Like I couldn't work it out. And then from then, I think it wasn't too long afterwards, I started kind of playing across the UK, and
Right.
it kind of happened more and more. And I was going, "Oh, this seems to be a thing that you do." I
Yeah.
never really got the whole like I'm a rock star thing.
Uh-huh.
Um, and now that was it was a slow introduction, and now it
Uh-huh.
happens very fortunately, but quite a
Right.
lot.
Uh-huh.
And it's always a pleasure. Like I still make a point to come to the merch desk after a show and say hello to everybody. And I think it's important to appreciate, where you're coming from
Right.
because it can be so easy to lose touch
Right. Yeah.
from that. So while it's still plausible, I'm still trying to make an effort and go into the crowd after the show and saying hello to everyone. I understand that on a long tour, especially when my shows get longer and I'm
Right.
giving it a bit more, that for my own safety and vocal health, that might
Right.
not be the best decision. But I think this might be one of the last kind of tours that I'm still going to do that. I'm heading out in March and April across the UK.
Right.
And it's my first big kind of tour since signing with Frontiers, since having a record label. It's in support of my debut album, despite being slightly before the release, but
Right.
we're playing a bunch of songs from it. So it's going to be a bit of a different scenario, and also to gauge what impact all of this has had on live music over here. So it's exciting.
Cool, cool.
Mm.
You have any merchandise you like to talk about?
We've got some. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll have t-shirts. I think we're selling the very last of the EP that we spoke about.
Right.
Um, only because one or two songs are going to be on the new album.
Right.
So I don't want to take away too much from the album being sold, but a very good point is we're going to try and sell a laminate, and this laminate will not only have behind the scenes stuff of what we've been doing for the album, and we're gonna put a nice little Q&A interview, and I'm gonna play some acoustic songs and do all that. But it also acts as a pre-order for my album.
Cool.
So
I like that.
so if you scan it and put your email in, you will automatically have ordered my new album. So we're
Uh-huh.
gonna try and do that in a way where we'll be selling that across the tour.
Uh-huh.
And then obviously all of the sales for that then count towards the charts for the week of release in May. So
Cool.
hopefully, if there's enough support and everyone grabs one and all of the good stuff, there might be a chance of charting with my debut album, which would be mind blowing.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. You got great vocals,
Amazing.
so definitely.
Oh, well, it depends who you ask, but I appreciate the kind words. Thank you.
Cool, cool. Will this release come out on vinyl?
Oh yeah, we've got all kinds of colors and shapes, and
Cool.
yeah, I had the great pleasure in picking the colors, and
Good.
I've never, yeah, it was like a kid in a candy store. we got given. I think it was because Megadeth have just released their latest album,
Right.
and there was a mock-up of the catalog the Frontiers done, and they sent it over, and he went, "Listen, ignore all of the Megadeth album covers because
Uh,
obviously it was what they had to choose from." But they're
right.
like, "This is all the colors we have, and if you want, a custom color, you can go and do that." So I was just it was the best day ever. We were going
Right.
through all of the colours. You go, now that one's a cool splatter, and that one's got
Uh-huh.
weird stuff going on, and so we chose stuff that largely aligned with the album cover colours and the scheme that we've been doing.
Right.
But then we have one or two kind of exclusive vinyls that are coming out.
Uh-huh.
My manager really liked the one of them was like a Coke bottle,
Uh-huh.
translucent but like slightly blue, and
Yeah.
he had one years ago that was the same kind of finish. So we went, okay, for this exclusive one, we'll let you choose one, and we can have the Coke bottle color. And
Right. Cool.
um, so it's been really fun. It was actually like a really enjoyable experience in the whole creation of this kind of campaign.
Cool. 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 I remember when I
Great.
was younger, the band The Police, they put out or
Yeah,
shaped this like a police badge, you know, an album like
amazing,
shaped. Yeah, I mean, like it was wild,
genius,
you know.
genius.
I still got them
I
too.
did ask whether I could. It's I've recently got into collecting one or two vinyls, and it's a slippery slope, that one.
Uh,
But I was dying for a picture disc. I don't know what I would put on it. My face, I guess.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I thought that'd be so cool. But
That's
maybe next album I'll twist their arm. It's fine. We'll get there.
cool, cool, cool. Is there any chance of you doing any U.S. states?
I would love to do some US. I mean, especially with the kind of the virality of the videos that I've been putting out. A lot of people have come onto my pages from the US.
Right,
And the hardest part of that is that I could have 20,000 people in the US that would want to see me, but that
right,
might be 10 people per city. Do you know? Because it's
right.
so big.
Yeah,
In the UK, if there's 20,000 people, from top to bottom, it's a 5 hour drive, and it's not really that much of a problem.
right,
But in the US, it's like I looked at my Spotify stats. I'm
right.
streaming,
Uh-huh.
and the US by far is double any other country that listens to my music.
Right,
But in terms of the cities where it's consumed, it's like number 18
right. Yeah,
because it's so big.
yeah, yeah.
And so for an independent, not independent anymore because of Frontiers, but because of a small artist, and costs are quite expensive, especially at the moment with the whole,
Right,
the deal with getting into America. It is tough, and it's a lot of money. It's the visas, it's the thing. So if I got a great tour, or if there was a huge, explosion in followers from America, it would increase the ability for us to get over there.
right.
I want to do it as soon as I physically can. It's building the blocks up to, get to a certain area of the world and stuff. Because South America's huge and parts of Europe are huge.
Yeah.
Um, it's just making it feasible. And I think as soon as we see the ability to make it a little bit more feasible, I'll be over there like a flash. That'd be great.
Oh, good. Have you thought about a follow-up album already?
I realize that despite how exciting everything is at the moment, it's going to come around so quickly.
Uh-huh.
And as I said to you earlier, with the whole I need a deadline thing, I think if I tell myself I need the songs relatively soon, I have started making a few ideas, but I'm yet to kind of piece everything together. So when I start kicking my own backside, and I'm writing some songs, I'll be in a better position. But I have started thinking about it. But I'm also having the stress levels go with what direction do I go in, and what, that kind of thing. So I think I need to write from the heart, and that's kind of the main takeaway that I've got from this. Uh, I'm not letting it influence me, basically.
Well, cool. Well, Dan, it was great talking to you. I appreciate the chat. This is where the show begins, May 22nd, Frontiers. Make sure to pre-order your CDs, your albums, whatever, cassettes, anything available. Check
Love
him
it.
out. Check out the videos. They're great. Check this guy's voice. It's like amazing. So
Thank you so much. That's so sweet. And thank you, A, for having me on the show, but also for the kind words. I appreciate the fact that, you've done your research and you understand. And thank you for being a great fan of music, because that's ultimately what we all are. So it's been a pleasure, a total pleasure.
cool, cool. You want to say anything to the fans out there?
Sure, I just thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of the support so far. It's scary releasing new music into the world, especially when you haven't got that much out already. And the response that I've had thus far has been, absolutely mind blowing. So I can only thank you all. I would love to see you all in the future at a show or at any point along my career, but hopefully it's a long and illustrious one. And I hope that you all enjoyed the album that is going to be coming out in May.
Cool, cool. Thanks a lot, Dan. See you later.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you, Brian.
Bye bye.
Bye bye now.